September 19th, 2021, 10:17 a.m. The air in Spread Creek is thin, cold, the kind of cold that cuts through your jacket and settles in your bones. FBI Special Agent Charles Jones steps over fallen pine branches, his boots crunching on dried needles and scattered twigs. He's following coordinates, a tip, another one in a case that's already drowning in tips. Then he sees it, a flash of orange fabric, partially covered, tucked against the base of a cluster of trees like someone tried to hide it but ran out of time. The smell hasn't hit yet. The Wyoming wilderness is cold enough to slow decomposition. But what Agent Jones finds in that clearing will confirm what Gabby Petito's family has feared for 18 days. Their daughter isn't coming home. This is the moment a missing persons case becomes a homicide. This is the moment America's most watched manhunt begins. And this is the story of how a dream road trip turned into a national nightmare. But what really happened in those final days? What did the evidence reveal? And why did the warning signs go unheeded? What you're about to hear didn't make the national news coverage. Before we continue, tell me in the comments section where you are watching from. March 19th, 1999, Blue Point, Long Island. It's the kind of place where people still leave their doors unlocked, where the biggest news is usually about high school football scores, or which neighbor grew the best tomatoes that summer. The American suburban dream, quiet and safe. This is where Gabrielle Venora Petito enters the world. Gabby, not Gabrielle, never Gabrielle, just Gabby, warm, approachable, the kind of name that feels like a hug. She's the eldest of 6 kids in a blended family. Her parents, Nicole and Joseph, separate when she's young, but it's amicable, mature. Both stay deeply involved in her life. Nicole, a teacher's assistant, remarries a man named Jim. Joseph, a warehouse manager, remarries too, a woman named Tara. And Gabby, in the middle of all this restructuring, somehow stays grounded, connected. She splits her time between households, but never seems split herself. Those who knew her as a child remember the same things. Empathy beyond her years. A sketchbook always tucked under her arm. A tendency to notice the quiet kids at school and sit with them at lunch. At 14 years old, after the Sandy Hook Elementary School tragedy tears through the national consciousness, Gabby participates in a gun violence awareness music video with her younger cousins. It's not for a grade, not an assignment. She just does it because she feels something and she wants to help. This is who Gabby is, someone who sees pain and tries to paint over it with something brighter. Comment the exact time you're watching this right now. I need to see how many people are digging into this case late at night when they can't stop thinking about it. Then drop your location below. And if you've ever been to Grand Teton National Park, or if you've ever lived the van life dream, or if you're from Long Island, I need you to comment, "I know this world." The reason why will become clear in just a few minutes, and it's going to make you see this case in a completely different light. Because this wasn't just Gabby's story. It could have been anyone's. By the time Gabby reaches high school at Bayport Blue Point, she's found her lane. Art, nature, long walks with her camera. She paints with watercolors, soft, dreamy landscapes that look like they're dissolving into mist. She's not chasing popularity. She's chasing light, color, moments that feel infinite. And somewhere in those hallways, she crosses paths with a boy named Brian Laundrie. At first, they're just classmates, acquaintances. He's quiet, keeps to himself, likes hiking, likes being outside. Nothing remarkable, nothing alarming. They graduate in June 2017. Gabby's thinking about art school, about travel, about what comes next when the world opens up and you're finally old enough to walk through the door. She has no idea that her path is about to intersect with Brian's again. And this time, it won't be temporary. By early 2019, Gabby and Brian are officially together. It happens fast. That's the thing everyone will say later. It happens fast. They reconnect after graduation, and within months, they're inseparable. Not just dating, merged. They share interests, art, nature, the idea of a life less ordinary. From the outside, it looks like one of those relationships where two people just fit. And then Gabby makes a choice that will reshape everything. July 2019, she leaves Long Island, leaves her family, her childhood bedroom, the safe suburban streets where she grew up. She moves to Northport, Florida, to live with Brian and his parents, Christopher and Roberta Laundrie. It's a big move, the kind that signals commitment, trust, a future. Gabby's parents support her. She's 20 years old, making adult decisions, and they trust her judgment. But they stay close. Phone calls every few days, FaceTime sessions. Nicole makes it clear, you can always come home. Gabby gets a job as a pharmacy technician at Publix. Brian works at a local grocery store. They settle into routines, date nights, hiking trips to nearby trails, posts on social media that make their friends say things like couple goals and living the dream, because that's what it looks like, a dream. And in July 2020, in the middle of a global pandemic that has the whole world holding its breath, Brian proposes. No big production. Just the two of them on a hiking trail. Gabby will later tell her mom that a firefly landed on her hand right when Brian asked. She takes it as a sign. Magic. Proof that they're meant to be. The wedding is set for 2022. And before that, they have a plan. The kind of plan that sounds romantic. Adventurous? The kind that makes people jealous when they see it on Instagram. They're going to convert a white Ford Transit van into a tiny mobile home, pack up their lives, and spend the summer of 2021 driving across the country, visiting national parks, documenting the whole thing on social media. Van life, freedom, two people, one road, infinite possibilities. They named the van Scooby. Gabby starts a YouTube channel, Nomadic Static. The plan is to vlog the journey, build a following, maybe even monetize it, turn their adventure into something sustainable, a life where they never have to settle, never have to stop moving. By July 6, 2021, they're ready. The van is packed, the route is mapped. Gabby's mom gives her a hug that lasts a little longer than usual. She can't explain why, just a feeling. And they drive. The first few weeks are everything they hoped for. Arches National Park, Colorado, Utah's Red Rock Desert, wide open skies. They hike, they camp, they take pictures that look like they belong in magazines. Gabby posts to Instagram. The aesthetic is perfect, bohemian, free-spirited. That on, van life, living. The dream, endless adventure. But behind the lens, something is shifting. Friends and family will later say they notice tension in phone calls. Gabby sounds stressed, tired. Brian is controlling the social media accounts now, answering her phone. Sometimes she can't talk freely. And on August 12, 2021, the mask slips. Moab, Utah. 1:00 p.m., a scorching summer afternoon. A 911 call comes in. A witness reports seeing a white van pulled over on the side of the road near the Moonflower Community Cooperative. A man and a woman arguing, shoving. The man allegedly hitting the woman. The witness is concerned. It looks violent. Moab City Police Officer Daniel Robbins arrives on scene. He spots the white Ford Transit van, pulls up behind it, activates his body camera. What happens in the next 77 minutes will be analyzed, dissected, and debated for years. Robbins approaches Brian first. He's pacing, scratching his face, talking fast, nervous energy pouring out of him. He says they've been fighting, the stress of the trip, working on their social media stuff. It's been a lot. He says Gabby has anxiety, OCD, that she gets really worked up sometimes. He says she hit him. There are scratches on his arm, his face. He shows them to the officer like evidence, like proof. Robbins asks where Gabby is. She's in the van. Officer Robbins opens the door. And there she is. Gabby Petito, 22 years old. Blonde hair pulled back, tear-streaked face, sobbing, hyperventilating, apologizing. I'm sorry. This is my fault. I was just cleaning the van and he got mad because I was telling him to stop tracking dirt in, and I'm sorry. I have really bad OCD and I was just trying to... She can't finish sentences. She's spiraling. Robbins asks if Brian hit her. She says no. She says she hit him. She slapped him. She was frustrated. She was anxious. It was her fault. The officers separate them, take statements from both. Talk to the witness who called 911. Here's what the witness actually saw. Brian hitting Gabby, trying to take her phone, shoving her, locking her out of her own van. But when the officers ask Gabby, she protects him. She insists she started it, that she's the problem, that her anxiety is the real issue. The officers make a decision. Under Utah law, this is a domestic violence incident. Someone should be cited, possibly arrested. They decide Gabby is the primary aggressor. They don't arrest her. Instead, they separate them for the night. Brian gets to sleep in the van. Gabby is driven to a hotel. The officers tell them to take some time apart, cool off, figure things out. Before they part ways, one officer gives Brian a piece of advice. Take a breather, man. You know, if things get heated again, just walk away. You've got the keys, you've got control, just take some space. The footage will later be released to the public, and the world will watch it and scream at their screens. Look at what just happened. Look at what the system missed. Gabby sat in that police car apologizing for being abused. She protected the man who would kill her 13 days later. This isn't just her story. This is the story of every victim who gets told they're too emotional or too anxious, while their abuser walks free. If you believe domestic violence victims deserve better, if you believe officers need better training to spot coercive control and manipulation, hit subscribe right now. Only people who think victims should blame themselves won't. Show Gabby that we see what everyone missed that day in Moab. Subscribe if you believe the system failed her, because it did. August 13th to August 25th, 2021. After Moab, Gabby and Brian continue their trip. They travel north toward Wyoming, toward Grand Teton National Park, toward the place where everything will end. The communication with Gabby's family becomes sporadic. A few texts, short, clipped, not like Gabby. August 21st, a text to Nicole saying they're in Yosemite, but they're not in Yosemite, they're in Wyoming. August 25th, no service in Yosemite, but the language is off, the tone is wrong. Nicole feels it. Something is wrong. August 27th, one final text. Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls. Stan is Gabby's grandfather, but Gabby never calls him Stan. She calls him Grandpa, always. Nicole knows immediately. That's not Gabby. She tries calling, texting, nothing. August 30th, the texts stop completely. Nicole calls the Northport Police Department. She files a missing person report. She tells them her daughter was traveling with her fiancé. She tells them she hasn't heard from Gabby in days. She tells them the texts don't sound like her daughter. She tells them to find Brian Laundrie. September 1st, 2021. The white Ford Transit van, Scooby, pulls into the driveway of the Laundrie family home in Northport, Florida. Brian gets out, alone. The van sits in the driveway, curtains drawn, silent. Gabby's family is calling. Everyone. The police, Brian's parents, Brian's phone. No one answers. On September 11th, 10 days after Brian returned home without Gabby, Gabby's family holds a press conference. Please, if you know anything, if you've seen her, if you have any information, Gabby is missing. We just want to bring her home. Nicole is barely holding it together. Joseph's jaw is tight. They beg the Laundrie family to speak, to tell them anything. The Laundries say nothing. Brian doesn't speak. His parents hire a lawyer. The lawyer releases a statement. The Laundrie family is remaining in the background and will have no further comment. The internet erupts. The case goes viral. Gabby's Instagram becomes a digital crime scene. Internet sleuths comb through every post, every comment, every timestamp. TikTokers analyze the Moab body camera footage. YouTube channels dissect timelines. Theories multiply. And on September 14th, Brian Laundrie's family reports him missing. They say he left for a hike in the Carlton Reserve 3 days earlier and never came back. The reserve is a 25,000-acre swamp in Sarasota County. Alligators, snakes, dense vegetation. It's the kind of place where you disappear, if you want to disappear. September 19th, 2021, we return to where this story began. Spread Creek, Grand Teton National Park, FBI agents combing through the forest. At 10:17 a.m., they find her. Gabby Petito's body is located near a dispersed camping area, close to where the van had been spotted weeks earlier by other travelers who posted about it online. She's partially covered, concealed among the trees, left behind like she was nothing. Teton County coroner Dr. Brent Blue conducts the autopsy. Cause of death: manual strangulation, blunt force trauma to the head and neck, defensive wounds. Her body had been there for approximately 3 to 4 weeks, exposed to the elements, alone. Manner of death: homicide. The world stops. The search for Brian Laundrie intensifies. The FBI issues an arrest warrant, not for murder, not yet, but for using Gabby's debit card without authorization. Between August 30th and September 1st, Brian withdrew over $1,000 from Gabby's account. Used it for gas, food, the drive home. While Gabby lay dead in the Wyoming wilderness, Brian was using her money to run. The media circus reaches a fever pitch. Dog the bounty hunter joins the search. Protesters camp outside the Laundrie house. Brian's face is on every news channel, every website, every true crime podcast. And then, on October 20th, 2021, the search ends. Human remains are discovered in the Carlton Reserve, in an area previously underwater due to flooding. The location is in Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, just off a trail Brian's family said he frequented. Dental records confirm the identity. Brian Laundrie, dead. The medical examiner rules it a suicide, self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. He'd been dead for weeks, possibly since mid-September, shortly after he was reported. Missing. Near his body, investigators find a dry bag. Inside, a notebook, a handgun, some personal items, and in that notebook, a confession. January 21st, 2022. The FBI releases its final report. Brian's notebook contains 8 pages of writing. In it, he admits to killing Gabby. But he tries to control the narrative one last time. He claims Gabby was injured during a hike, that she was in pain, freezing, suffering, that she begged him to end it, that he killed her out of mercy. I ended her life, he writes. I thought it was merciful, that it is what she wanted. But I see now all the mistakes I made. He writes that he couldn't live without her, that he intended to take his own life from the moment he decided to take away her pain. The forensic evidence says otherwise. Gabby died of manual strangulation. It takes approximately 4 to 5 minutes of sustained pressure to kill someone this way. 4 to 5 minutes. That's not mercy. That's rage. That's control taken to its final, horrifying conclusion. The blunt force trauma suggests a struggle. Gabby fought back. She fought for her life, and Brian strangled her anyway. Nicole's response to the confession is immediate and raw. He's a liar. Even in death, he's trying to manipulate the story. There was no mercy. There was only murder. The FBI closes the case. Brian Laundrie acted alone. No charges will be filed against anyone else. The investigation is over. But for Gabby's family, the questions never stop. Why didn't the officers in Moab see the signs? Why didn't the Laundries speak? Why didn't anyone save her? On March 10th, 2022, Gabby's parents file a civil lawsuit against Brian's parents. They allege that Christopher and Roberta Laundrie knew Gabby was dead while her family desperately searched for her, that they remained silent, complicit, cruel. The suit seeks damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Discovery in the case reveals something chilling. A letter from Roberta Laundrie to Brian, undated but recovered during the investigation. In it, she references helping him dispose of a body. If you're in jail, I will bake a cake with a file in it, she writes. If you need to dispose of a body, I will show up with a shovel and a garbage bag. The Laundries claim it was a joke, old, taken out of context. The Petito family doesn't believe that for a second. By March 2023, the Petito family reaches a $3 million settlement in a wrongful death suit against Brian's estate. The money is symbolic. Brian had almost nothing. But every dollar will go toward the foundation, toward helping other families, other victims. Look at what Brian Laundrie did. Look at how he strangled the woman he claimed to love, stole her debit card, lied to his own family, and then tried to rewrite the story as an act of mercy. If you can't stand cowards like Brian Laundrie, if you believe Gabby Petito deserved better, comment "Justice for Gabby" right now. Let every abuser know that we see through the lies, we remember the victims, and we will never stop demanding accountability. Only people like Brian, manipulators, cowards, abusers, will scroll past this. Prove you're nothing like him. Comment below. In the wake of Gabby's death, her family made a choice. They could drown in grief, or they could turn their pain into purpose. They chose purpose. The Gabby Petito Foundation launches in October 2021. Just weeks after her body is found, the mission is clear. Support organizations that aid in locating missing persons. Provide resources to victims of domestic violence. Fund education programs that teach people to recognize the signs of abuse. The foundation partners with the National Domestic Violence Hotline, the Black and Missing Foundation, and numerous advocacy groups focused on the media's unequal coverage of missing persons, especially missing women of color. Because here's the truth. Gabby's case went viral, partly because of who she was: young, white, blonde, photogenic. The media called it missing white woman syndrome. For every Gabby Petito, whose face is on every screen, there are hundreds of missing indigenous women, black women, women of color whose names we never learn. The Petito family acknowledges this, and they use Gabby's platform to amplify those voices. They testify before lawmakers, push for legislative reform, and in Florida, their efforts lead to real change. Gabby Petito's Act becomes law in Florida. It requires law enforcement officers responding to domestic violence calls to ask 12 mandatory questions designed to identify signs of coercion, control, and danger. Questions that might have saved Gabby's life if someone had asked them in Moab. Questions like, does your partner control your finances? Does your partner isolate you from friends and family? Are you afraid of your partner? It's not enough to bring Gabby back, but it might save someone else. And that's what the family clings to, that Gabby's death won't be meaningless, that her story will teach people to look closer, ask harder questions, believe women when they're terrified but too scared to say it out loud. The case also reignites the national conversation about domestic violence and coercive control. Experts use Gabby's story to explain the cycle of abuse, how it starts small, how it escalates, how victims often defend their abusers because they've been conditioned to believe they're the problem. How Gabby sat in that police car in Moab, sobbing, taking the blame, while Brian played the calm, rational victim. That's what coercive control looks like, and most people miss it. Brian Laundrie wanted to be forgotten. He wanted Gabby Petito to be just another sad story that fades from the headlines. He wanted us to move on. If you believe Gabby's life mattered, if you believe we must remember so this never happens again, smash that like button and subscribe right now. People like Brian depend on our silence, our short attention spans, our apathy. Prove him wrong, like if you believe every victim deserves justice. Only those who side with abusers will refuse. Take a stand, like, and subscribe. Gabby Petito was 22 years old. She loved art, she loved nature, she loved her family. She loved the idea of a life less ordinary. She wanted to see the world, to capture it, to share it. She did not deserve to die alone in the wilderness, strangled by the man she thought she'd marry. The white Ford Transit van, Scooby, was returned to Gabby's family. Some wanted it destroyed, erased, but her parents kept it because it was hers, because she converted it with her own hands, because it represented her dreams before they were stolen. The officers in Moab were investigated, placed on leave. The department acknowledged failures in how the incident was handled. Policy changes were made, but Gabby is still gone. The Laundrie family has never spoken publicly. Chris and Roberta Laundrie remain silent. They have not been charged with any crime. They have not apologized. They have not acknowledged Gabby by name, and that silence speaks volumes. September 19th marks the anniversary of Gabby's discovery every year. People leave flowers at Spread Creek, post tributes on social media, light candles, say her name, because in the end, that's what matters. Not that she died, but that she lived. Visual, Gabby smiling, full of life, the girl she was before the world knew her name. Gabby Petito was an artist, a daughter, a sister, a friend. She was a young woman who saw beauty everywhere and tried to show it to others. She deserved a long life, a safe love, a future, and she deserved better than the world gave her. The case of Keely Rodney in Truckee, California remains one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries of 2022. A teen who vanished from a party near a reservoir. And what divers found 6 months later raised more questions than answers. That investigation is live on this channel right now. Click that video. See what happened when a community refused to give up. Gabrielle Venora, Petito, March 19, 1999, late August 2021. 22 years old, gone but never forgotten.